Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Bala Girivanadari Jaya Jaya Gopi Jana Bala Girivanadari Jaya Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Gopi Jana Bala Girivanadari Jaya Gopi Jana Bala Girivanadari Jaya Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvadakkacharya Asatarasata Sima His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories of Srila Prabhupada. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Śrī Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So today we're reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Chapter 4, text 20. Thank you. Yathā mam prapadyante tāṁs tathaiva bhajāmy aham vartmānuvartante manuṣyāḥ pārtha sarvaśaḥ yathā mam prapadyante tāṁs tathaiva bhajāmy aham vartmānuvartante manuṣyāḥ pārtha sarvaśaḥ yathā mam prapadyante tāṁs tathaiva bhajāmy aham vartmānuvartante manuṣyāḥ pārtha sarvaśaḥ bhajante manuṣyāḥ pārtha sarvaśaḥ yathā mam prapadyante tāṁs tathaiva bhajāmy aham vartmānuvartante manuṣyāḥ pārtha sarvaśaḥ yathā mam prapadyante vartmānuvartante manuṣyāḥ pārtha sarvaśaḥ yathā prapadyante tāṁs tathaiva bhajāmy aham vartmānuvartante manuṣyāḥ pārtha sarvaśaḥ. Ladies, yathā mam prapadyante tāṁs tathaiva bhajāmy aham vartmānuvartante manuṣyāḥ pārtha sarvaśaḥ yathā mam prapadyante tāṁs tathaiva bhajāmy aham vartmānuvartante manuṣyāḥ pārtha sarvaśaḥ. Yea, all who, yathā, as, mam, unto me, prapadyante, surrender, tan, them, tathā, so, eva, certainly, bhajāmi, reward, aham, I, mama, my, vartma, path, anuvartante, follow, manuṣyāḥ, all men, partha, O son of Pṛthā, sarvaśaḥ, in all respects. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In whatever way my devotees surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pṛthā. Purport. In the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad-gītā, Lord Kṛṣṇa affirms that formerly, some 120 million years before the Battle of Kurukṣetra, he explained the mystic philosophy of the Gita to the sun god. The message was received through the chain of disciplic succession, but in course of time, the chain being broken somehow or other. Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa appeared again and taught Arjuna the truths of the Bhagavad-gītā. At that time, the Lord spoke this verse, Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 4, text 11, to his friend Arjuna. You can repeat. In whatever way my devotees surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pṛthā. Have to follow. That's all we do is follow. I'm going to read a course now from the Bhagavad-gītā, if I can find this, what I put it. The purport from Bhagavad-gītā. Everyone is searching for Krishna in the different aspects of his manifestations. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahma-Jyotir effulgence, and as the all-pervading supersoul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desires to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as the devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as Supreme Master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally, according to their different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocations of feeling are there, and they are equally exchanged by the Lord with the different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord and thus derive transcendental bliss in his loving service. As for those who are impersonalist and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal, blissful personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot relish the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord, having extinguished their individuality. Some of them, who are not firmly situated even in his impersonal existence, return to the material field to exhibit their dormant desires for activities. They are not admitted into the spiritual planets, but they are again given a chance to act on the material planets. For those who are fruit of workers, the Lord awards the desired results of their prescribed duties as the Yajnashvara. And those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. In other words, everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy alone. And all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. Unless, therefore, one comes to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect, as is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, Chapter 3, Text 10, akama sarvakamo va mokshakama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether one is without desire, the condition of the devotees, or is desirous of all fruitive results, or is after liberation, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. Oma Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksulan Militam Jaina Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swaya Rupa Kadamayam Datati Svapadantikam Panchakopa Tirubhischa Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we have special verse here from Chaitanya Charitamrita, of course, and from Bhagavad-gītā. Reciprocation. Reciprocation. Yesterday, Maharaj was also talking about reciprocation, and he also has mentioned in the purport here in the Gita. Maharaj was very kind. He said, all religions, I want to say they're all very nice. And Prabhupada says here, all religions, different percentages of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Reciprocation, I'm going to play one thing, I hope it works out. This is from a Prabhupada giving class in Australia. I believe it's Melbourne, Australia. He would give classes there in the evening. When Prabhupada went to Australia in the early days, he had to do more, get more and more people involved. So the class wasn't just in the temple. Every evening, Madhvisa Maharaj, who pretty much opened up Australia with the help of, in the beginning, Upendra Prabhu, Bali Murdan Prabhu. But then Madhvisa became GBC there. Very enthusiastic for Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada called him, what did he call him? Emperor of Kirtan. Imagine, Emperor of Kirtan. He once wrote Prabhupada a letter. In those days, we would go out all day, right? If you weren't distributing books, you were banging cartels, playing the mridanga. You were out there 8-10 hours a day on the street corners, in the city centers, downtown areas, chanting Hare Krishna. So that was Madhvisa way back 1968. He was doing this. And, of course, to be called Emperor of Kirtan, he was very, very talented, very, very good. And he asked Prabhupada, wrote him a letter, said, how do we engage everyone? How to attract them when we're doing the kirtan? How can we do that? Of course, Prabhupada's answer, we're not trying to attract anyone. He said, we're trying to attract Krishna. He said, use this process. Everything we do, we try to attract Krishna. Anyone who is sincere, this path, that path, if they see that, they can also become attracted. I just read something by our Ayendra Prabhu. He said, if you're not chanting your 16 rounds, he said, you may be very good kirtaniya, but you're just an entertainer. This is the same thing Prabhupada said. Yeah. Ayendra, Prabhupada's method was a little mellower, not what we're... But Ayendra said, you're just entertaining. This isn't our business trying to entertain crowds. That's why 24-hour kirtan, they're sitting right in front of Krishna Balaram. It's to satisfy them. This is the reciprocation. We want Krishna to reciprocate. So we have our desires. Prabhupada said, the devotees have no desire. Means they only want to serve Krishna. That's their desire. But that's pure devotees. Until we reach that stage, purity, so many desires are there. My very first, Panchagoda Prabhu, he's watching videos now. He said how, just like that, I was with Prabhupada one day, and weeks later I'm in Vrindavan. Just Srila Prabhupada, following Srila Prabhupada videos. Only Srila Prabhupada videos. Somehow or other, sometimes he sees me in there. He says, hey, how do you get so fortunate? How do any of us get so fortunate? And the very first day, we could read Prabhupada's books, read and read, but when you're with him, it's like an injection. Reading is like kind of like taking it in the mouth. You put it under your nose. But when you're with Prabhupada, he can just inject you, bring you to the proper understanding. It was my very first morning walk with Srila Prabhupada as his servant. And besides fumbling around, trying to know what to do, and recording him every time he spoke. And when he'd stop, you're supposed to turn it off, put it on pause, because tapes were not so easy to get. So you go back and forth, and you're doing that. And sometimes he wants his chatter, sometimes he doesn't want his chatter. So you're always having to pay attention. This is, I always say, Krishna consciousness. Everything is to be attentive. So in this morning walk, it was generally very similar. We waited for Prabhupada to say something. And you never do. Like Prabhupada said, he's not your pet to entertain you. That's not the business, entertainment. So they would wait. If Prabhupada's chanting rounds, you shouldn't say anything. He says you'd never start a conversation with your guru. You never initiate a conversation. You wait for him. And generally we were okay with that. Sometimes devotees realizing, I'm on a morning walk today, I'll never be on another one the rest of my life. So they would get eager, and you could see they want to ask a question. Sometimes different devotees would, and Prabhupada was very compassionate. Sometimes he might just look, sometimes he could answer, conversation would begin, but it was always according to his desire, the desire of the pure devotee. But that one morning I saw a young brahmachari, we were all young brahmacharis, we're all 18, 19, 22, whatever. He wanted to ask his question that day. He didn't really have a question, but he wanted to ask a question, which that also happened. They would just ask a question just to have that association, just to have that connection with Srila Prabhupada. But this boy, he was shy, and Prabhupada didn't stop, so he never said anything. The whole morning walk, 1 hour, Prabhupada chanting japa, everyone chanting japa. So finally the walk's over. We walk back to the car. This is in Dallas. Prabhupada was at a park. We walk back to the car. And I open the back door. Prabhupada gets into the car and sits down. And that brahmachari, he's about 5 feet away. And he's looking at Prabhupada, going away. We hear this. Krishna book, 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. You see Krishna leaving. Everyone's filled with anxiety. He's leaving us. So this is how this boy, he's leaving. This is it, finished, no more chance. And Prabhupada's in the car, and I'm ready to close the door. Prabhupada, how do I become Krishna conscious? That was his question. Everything he gives us, it's all he's given us is how to become Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. But he had to ask something, just wanted that connection with Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, without a moment, he just looked at him and he said one word. And then he turned and looked forward. Like, okay, now we go. As I said, Prabhupada wouldn't say, okay, start up the car, now no, he just, boom, you have to know what to do. That's attentiveness. The driver immediately should know, okay, start the car, we're leaving. Me, I know, close the door, get around the other side, sit down, we're leaving. And that's what happened. That word's mentioned in here many times. The one word, how to become Krishna conscious. Desire. That's the basis of reciprocation with Krishna, our desire. That's all that's required. You just have to want to become Krishna conscious. And we're all here, obviously, here in Vrindavan. If you're here in Vrindavan, you better want to become Krishna conscious. Otherwise, it's not possible to stay here for any length of time. You know, that desire has to be very, very strong. We all have so many desires. That's what it said. Pure devotee, no desire, just wants to serve Krishna. So to come to such a platform, at least I can see, not such an easy thing. Not such an easy thing. Give up all those desires. I'll often tell when we were in a very nice house in Juhu, Mumbai, and Prabhupada called me, and he would call me in his room at different places because he knew places I liked, favorite places, and some places just passing through. So sometimes 4 or 5 times he would call me, how do you like it here? It was one of his questions. How do you like it here, he would say. And I also knew, depending on the place, how he liked it there as well. Mayapur, how do you like it here? But Prabhupada liked his desire to serve there, to be there in Mayapur, birthplace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in that place, I went in, I said, oh, it's very nice, Prabhupada. It was the first time since I began traveling with him. I had my own room, had my own bathroom, someone to take care of. Imagine at some life member's house. So he knew I was enjoying. So then I said, oh, I like very much Prabhupada. Prabhupada liked to be in his temple, in his room in his temple. He never wanted to be outside of his own room. He liked to be in the temple. Time and time again we would see in Mayapur, here in Vrindavan, in Juhu, the place would be 50% done, 60% done. And they wouldn't even think Prabhupada would go, I'm going to stay in my room. He didn't care. To his room, in the temple, pure place, where desires just to serve Krishna. Very happy there, sitting on the floor, sitting on a cushion, people sweeping the dust still from just finishing up. Not even finished, like here, 1974, Vrindavan, temple not finished, his quarters not finished. No garden, no kitchen. But he was very happy there. This is the devotee. So I said, yes, I'm very happy. It's very nice, Srila Prabhupada. He said, yes, Krishna gives us a bed, we sleep in the bed. If he doesn't give us a bed, we sleep on the floor. That was Prabhupada. This is devotee. Not interested in taking anything. And in this way, Krishna becomes even more obligated to take care, to serve his devotee. I'm going to play one thing, I'm going to try to, and hope it comes out. This is also from Melbourne, Australia, as I was saying. Prabhupada would do classes in the evening, and they would get a nice crowd of local people would come. Advertising was there, so people would come. And Prabhupada would give his class. And at the end of class, there was always questions and answers. Again, and this wasn't common for a Srimad Bhagavatam class. Most of the classes, you'll never hear any questions, Prabhupada say at the end of class, or questions. Just says, thank you very much. And it's finished. But in Australia, you could see Prabhupada really did everything he could to try to give Krishna to everyone, to try to inspire, try to enthuse them in Krishna consciousness. So there's this one question you're going to hear to start. The first voice you'll hear, if it comes out properly, will be Mother Visa asking Prabhupada the question.
Which is a scripture that we study. It says that Krishna did not want us to come to this material world. The question is, if Krishna did not want us to come, why are we here? Yes, he forced Krishna to allow you to come. Just like sometimes a child forces the father. Father says, my dear son, do not do this, do not go. But he insists, I must. All right, you go at your risk. That's all. And you suffer. What can be done? Because you are God, because you are son of God, God has got independence, full independence, almighty. Therefore you have acquired the quality of your father. You have got little independence. The God does not interfere with your little independence. Beginning from Lord Brahma, down to the worms in the stool, gradually, according to your work, according to your desire, you manifest the different types of body and enjoy and suffer. Bhagavad-gītā, which is a scripture that we study, it says that Krishna...
That was it. That's all Prabhupada said. It's just your desire. You wanted to come. Krishna's Supreme Father. Some of us, we've been fathers, mothers. You tell your children, don't do this, don't do this, don't... And of course they do it. Just like we did it. They do it. And Prabhupada said, Krishna doesn't want you to do it. He's telling you over and over again. He said, but you determined, and you have that little bit of independence. So the duty, of course, of pure devotee is make you understand independence and what to do, how to get out of this place. As it says here in that purport in the Gita, everyone is being satisfied based on their desires. Materialist even, he desires this. Prabhupada says the fruit of workers, he does his work, Krishna fulfills his desire. Of course, then time of death comes. We're seeing over and over again, every day, every month, getting old, not a fun process. We don't even know. So many conditions are there nowadays, so many diseases. I see everything rising. They say cancer rates going up, this going up, dementia going, everything going up. Kali Yuga. So our business, Prabhupada say, make that desire go back home, back to Godhead. And very simple. Even Ayendra Prabhu says the same. Chant your 16 round, everything becomes purified. All our desires will become purified over time. How much Krishna? We say you take one step. How many? We say Krishna takes 10 steps. Is that right? 10 steps. 10 steps towards us. So his reciprocation is more than even we're giving. He's very kind. Pure devotee also understands reciprocation. Maharaj, he told us a nice story. I've heard that once or twice from Maharaj over the years. That's carrying that suitcase. He said 70 pounds. I remember those 70-pound suitcases. Well, we're very, very heavy. And of course the same thing. Everybody, at that time, we just wanted Prabhupada's association. Without understanding, the best association is simply to serve. Just to serve. And Prabhupada put him in that position, called his name. In the Jumna, he'll bring back the suitcase. That's what he said. Most of you were here yesterday. So he did that reluctantly, but it was the order from his spiritual master. Then we know it took him a couple hours to get there. It was typical, how to carry it all upstairs by himself, bring it to Prabhupada's room. But then we hear how Prabhupada reciprocated. He said he was offering obeisances and Prabhupada whacked him on the back. It wasn't a punishment. It was his reciprocation. He gave him a nice pat on his back. Thank you very much. And then Nanda Kumar said, what did he say? Prabhupada said it was a whole couple sentences. What did he say? anyway, Krishna is very pleased in your service. And just go on, do your service. That's our business. When I was struggling, Prabhupada said, just do your service. Service is love. Service is love. And then Krishna can reciprocate very, very nicely. I had that, because he talked about that, I was thinking same thing here in Australia, this same place, Melbourne, Australia. Prabhupada went there, did deity installations. He traveled there over half a dozen times. That little continent, like an island, Australia. He went there so many times to give people Krishna consciousness. And the one time it was Bali Murdan. Bali Murdan was the one that he opened with Upendra. They were the first ones to go there to Australia. He wrote a book once, The Pacific Rim, right? The Pacific Rim. He went to all those countries in the Pacific Rim. So now we were going back. This was 1975 or 74. 74. We were going back from India to Melbourne. And we left direct flight from India, like 14-hour flight. And Prabhupada went, and Bali Murdan and I were with him. And we were each carrying a deity, marble deity that was going to be installed. They weren't this size, they were like this high. Radha Krishna, white marble. Bali had Krishna, I had Radharani, and we're just carrying these marble forms. So everything you know when you get on the plane. So we went through all security, all the things. Then Prabhupada was sitting at the window. Radharani was standing next to him in the seat. And I was sitting there. Bali Murdan was behind us. So in the plane, we had to put him on the plane and we had to get off in transit. And we're sitting in the transit lounge. And I wasn't thinking anything. I was doing my duty. Prabhupada said, carry the deity. I was carrying the deity. But I didn't think much of it. And he's sitting there, and Radharani's right next to him. And then I'm sitting there, and Prabhupada looked at me. He said, Krishna's very pleased with your service. And I thought, wow, how easy it is to please Krishna. Not difficult. Just carrying this deity. But Prabhupada, and he said it because he knows. I don't know, but he knows. And he explained it to me. Just do your service. Krishna is very happy that you've done this. And then I remember there at the Jagya. And in those days, you see when we have Abhishek here, so many wonderful things and deity installations. In those days when they had the Abhishek, they would just grab whatever was in the kitchen. They had their stainless steel pots, ladles, stainless steel ladles that you would take the dal out of. This is how the Abhishek was performed. Whether Prabhupada was doing it or his Sanskrit editor was doing, whoever was doing, whatever was available. As long as this chanting of Hare Krishna was going on and Prabhupada was there, nothing else was required. You didn't need Lakshmi Kanch and this and the hairs of the cow, so many things we have. Only thing we have, Hare Krishna. Any circumstance, Prabhupada can always chant Hare Krishna. When they would write him, they're sick in the hospital in bed, Prabhupada said, okay, chant Hare Krishna. Whatever was going on. So then Pradyumna was doing the fire jagya. And we're all seated around, and Prabhupada's in the Vyasasana. And he's chanting the mantras. Then it came to the point, and we're throwing the grains in, and I'm sitting there also throwing in the grains and the ghee. And one devotee, young brahmachari, was behind me, and I guess everyone was throwing him, so if you're in the front by the fire, you're also getting covered. Sesame seeds, whatever. So this one brahmachari gave me a chadar to cover myself. That color. We see Raj over there. He asked me, it's a very striking chatter. So that's the chatter I had. So then some young brahmachari came up to me. Prabhupada said, what are you doing with that red chatter on? I said, someone just gave it to me. He said, take it off. I took it off. And we know it's there. There's nothing wrong with your kurta. Very, very nice. Don't take it off. No, we don't want to see what's under there. Not necessary. But this is it, learning. We're always learning. And when he did, that was the time, that was the installation when Prabhupada said to the deities, I'm leaving you here, these malechas. And there were different degrees. See, Prabhupada saw us in the States. We're also malechas, yavanas. But we were at a certain level. But one thing we noticed back then, going to Australia in the 70s, they were on a whole different level of malecha, of being malecha. They were on another level. You know, if you know a little bit about history, British history, colonialism in Australia, who were all the first settlers, other than the Aborigines who already lived there? The first settlers, they were all criminals. The Brits sent all their criminals to Australia. So that was their background. I found them, they were very, very, very nice, very kind, very friendly, but also very, they could be very boom, like that. And Prabhupada, he also saw, Prabhupada could understand everyone, and he just prayed, please accept these people, that they'll learn. Obviously, they didn't know how to do anything. This is reciprocation. Just see, we see Krishna's reciprocation through the pure devotee as well. Through our spiritual master, we can see how Krishna is reciprocating. Prabhupada's saying they have no qualification to even put these deities here. But Prabhupada put them there and said, you teach them. Now it's your job. You sent me here. Huh? Who could understand the mind of Srila Prabhupada? Huh? We always heard the other day arguing with Dwarkadish in Los Angeles. I've been sent here. Dwarkadish in New Dwarka, Los Angeles, said, no, you go to India now. He said, you go to India at that time. Krishna is so eager for us to go back home, back to Godhead. I always have, there's different times when I would see how Prabhupada is compassion. When someone came and then they struggled, how much effort he would make to bring them back. Huh? I saw again and again, including myself, again and again, how he'll try to bring you back. My most amazing one was in Hawaii. I told you, Hawaii, this temple, they're also having their 50th anniversary just now, the purchase of New Navadvip. It was October 1974. And it was shortly after that, myself and Brahmananda, we went to Hawaii. Prabhupada sent us there because different things were going on. That temple they purchased by Ambarish Prabhu, because the temple in the past which they owned had been sold by one devotee. Some of you know this story. He sold it, took the money. One devotee had given a down payment. He gave him his down payment back. He took the rest of the money and he bought some property on one of the other islands in Hawaii. This was back in 1972. So, of course, Prabhupada was so upset. Then the remaining devotees, they found a place to rent. Now they're renting a place. So when Prabhupada finally arrived, beginning of 1975, he arrived there. And even the devotees who had left at that time, they had the first Govinda's restaurant. The very first Govinda's restaurant was also in Hawaii, New Navadvip. But the devotees that left the temple, they took the restaurant for themselves. So the devotees in the temple were no longer managing the restaurant. So Prabhupada went there for a few reasons, to take care of things that had been going on. Hawaii, Hawaii is known as a very dangerous place. Prabhupada said it's the best place. Best place to practice Krishna consciousness means it's also the best place to fall into Maya. They're your options. You have one or the other. So now they would say they fell into Maya. They took the restaurant. Figured, oh, this will be our livelihood. Have a nice vegetarian Govinda's restaurant here. So then Prabhupada called in the one devotee. It was very quick meeting in Hawaii, Prabhupada's sitting room. Very quick meeting. Prabhupada looked, he said, so you have the Govinda's restaurant here? Yes, Prabhupada. He said, so who does the restaurant belong to? What could he say? He said, it's yours, Prabhupada. Very good. That was the end. The devotees immediately from the temple took over. It was Prabhupada's restaurant, Prabhupada's temple, everything here. Our only connection is through Srila Prabhupada. Whatever we're doing, that connection must be there for us. Huh? And that was the end of that. So then Prabhupada wanted to see the devotee who 3 years earlier sold the temple. There were Tulsi Devis in the temple. Prabhupada said, who's taking care of Tulsi Devi? He was very upset. Very, very upset. To abandon the temple, abandon Tulsi Devi, Krishna's pure devotee. He wrote letters. You can find letters, give different descriptions. His dissatisfaction. So now 3 years later, he said, I want to go see him. And he was on the other island where we also had just bought some land for a farm. So Prabhupada said, I want to go see the farm. So him and Guru Kripa wouldn't pay for a ticket for me, so I didn't get to go. I always remember that. It was the only time Prabhupada went somewhere I was a servant, I didn't get to go. That was the only time. So they went there, and as soon as they got there, Prabhupada didn't go to the farm. He said, where's this devotee? I want to see him. But they couldn't locate him. And they came back 3 hours later. It was just a half-hour flight. It wasn't a big deal. It was a half-hour flight. So they came right back because they couldn't find him. Of course, we had no idea what Prabhupada was going to say to this devotee. He served Prabhupada personally, opened up the temple in Hawaii, him and his wife. Opened the temple. You open a temple for Srila Prabhupada, you enter another level of service, appreciation for giving Krishna to so many more, so many thousands and thousands of more in the years. So then he came back to the temple. And after a couple days, apparently, the devotee, he had heard Prabhupada went there to see him. So he flew back to the Hawaii temple, New Navadvip. He flew there. And none of us knew even. And it was right noontime. And I'm in Prabhupada's sitting room giving him a massage before lunch. So it means he's sitting on straw mat. We both are in our gumshoes. I'm behind Prabhupada. I had never seen this devotee before. So this was my first time. I heard so much about him over the years. So he came in. He knew Prabhupada very well for so many years. He came in and he just sat before Prabhupada. But now he didn't have that devotee look, long hair, like a lion, like a big, long, coming out. The way it came out, it was like everywhere. And he had a beard. You have to have the beard. Must be there. Had the beard and the long hair. I think 90%, anyone ever left, long hair and beard. That was a necessity. Because when we came, we had long hair and beards. You go right back to where you came from, right? This is what it said, the impersonalists. If they're fortunate, they get sent right back to the material world, fulfill their desires, and maybe make some progress in Krishna consciousness. So he's sitting before, and he has these very deep eyes. We say, what is it? Scorpio. Very intense. And he's just sitting there looking at Prabhupada. He didn't say anything. And Prabhupada started talking. And it's a conversation you would never ever hear in your whole life. I've never heard anyone come close to saying the things that Srila Prabhupada said in those 2 minutes. To understand how to be a devotee. And Prabhupada looked at him and he said, "What have I done to make you leave?" He said, "What offenses have I committed?" Prabhupada said to him, not the other way around. Prabhupada said to his disciple, "What offenses have I committed to make you leave?" He said, "Whatever it is, tell me." And Prabhupada had tears in his eyes. And I don't know if the devotee was intoxicated or what, but he just stared at Prabhupada. And Prabhupada could see this wasn't going anywhere, at least not at this time. Later on, things got better. But here in 1975, January, whatever it was, January, February, wasn't like that. And finally, Prabhupada just looked and said, "Okay, you can go." But I had never heard such a thing. Prabhupada saying, "How have I offended you? What caused you to leave?" And then he got up and left. Guru Kripa was on the other side of the door. He was listening in on the conversation. So then he left. And I'm still behind Prabhupada massaging. And Prabhupada said, "He's a big rascal. But I love him." But he loved him. This is Krishna. Huh? Should I say, we're all big rascals, that's why we're here. I know I'm big rascal. I shouldn't say you're all pure devotees. That's devotee sees things. Pure devotees. But we're all big rascals, that's why we're here. And Krishna is so kind. He sends the pure devotee. He gives us Bhagavad-gītā millions of years ago to the Sangha. And he keeps giving and giving and giving, trying to wake us up in Krishna consciousness. This is the mercy. This is reciprocation. And if you're not feeling, you say, "I don't feel anything," then we have to understand it's from our side. Krishna is there. He's a person. Pure devotee is there. He's a person. And eagerly reciprocating. So, as Prabhupada told one of his very early disciples from what street? 2nd Avenue, back in 1966, when he came here 6 years later, saying he was struggling. Prabhupada said, then you have to understand what it is you aren't doing. Because if you're doing everything according to the process, you'll feel happy. Devotee's happy. That's his nature. He's happy. I saw Prabhupada happy. Even so many troubles everywhere. Troubles. It's a song in America, right? Trouble. Trouble. Nothing but trouble, this material world. The pure devotee is happy. He's happy in a bed, not in a bed, on the floor. He's happy in the intense heat. He's happy in the freezing cold. Nothing matters as long as I can serve my Lord. This is Krishna consciousness. So we have a few minutes left. Thank you all for being here today. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Panchagota Prabhu.
In the outside world, everyone looks for the perfect service and perfect duty. So in Krishna consciousness, we try to, we do our service by seeing the deities and chanting, participating in temple programs. But then we want to identify with a specific duty that's my service. But can you explain more about service? That sometimes we say, oh, it's my service. We identify with services. And sometimes we get taken away and go something thinking, well, I have no service. Well, we always have service.
Always have service. One of the things I've said over the years is service is always right in front of you. Wherever you are, opportunity to do service is always there. But if we're thinking, only this is my service, that's also not proper attitude. You have to understand. I've seen that also with Prabhupada, trying to send his devotee, right, to this place. Didn't want to go. And for me, it was the most shocking moment ever. I never knew anyone to just refuse Prabhupada's request, at least not right in front of him. Maybe you could agree and, just wander off. But in front of him to say no, it was the most shocking thing. Just as shocking as Prabhupada saying, he's a rascal, but I love him. This was a different kind of shock. I never imagined anyone could speak like that. But he did. And the argument went back and forth and back and forth. And Prabhupada, being pure devotee, perfect devotee, said, chant your rounds, follow the principles, and do any damn thing you want. But you can understand, that's not proper reciprocation. And of course, eventually he did do the proper thing, as Prabhupada wanted. Just as this devotee in 1975 in Hawaii, he turned up here 1977 with his new partner who was uninitiated. And he came in and Prabhupada was just so happy to see him, to come to see him here in Vrindavan. And he initiated his wife right on the spot. Gave her initiation right on. This was in September 1977. It wasn't the easiest thing. And I would imagine was the last initiation Srila Prabhupada gave to anyone. So this is the mercy of the spiritual master. But Prabhupada is pleased if he set up the society. He set up very nice system of management. He even described to the GBC how his spiritual master had set a system up. So it's important to follow the system. And the more we can do that, the better it is for us. And certain services require a certain amount of purity. There's sweeping the floor, then there's worshiping the deities, cooking in the kitchen. So we know in the kitchen, on the altar, Brahmins. But there's no such qualification to be sweeping in the floor. No one will ever say, well, you're not a Brahmin, you can't sweep the temple floor. So everything has, according to qualification, services are there as well. But everyone, no hard and fast rules to chant Hare Krishna. But that also is asking for service. So unless one, like we've all heard over and over again about Krishna Das Babaji, when his guru said he can sit in the temple and chant Hare Krishna. But he was qualified to do that all day, all night. And that's also very exceptional. This Prabhu here, you have a nice Prabhu here. Yes, I'm looking at... No, I was just pointing him out because he was also there in 1975. No, he wasn't asking. I was just offering him my respects. He was one of Peter Burwash. We all know Peter Burwash. So he never took initiation from Srila Prabhupada, but he would see him so often in Hawaii, and Prabhupada would tell him how to do his business, how to preach in his business. He converted so many people in tennis to become vegetarians. But even Peter Burwash, this boy, he took initiation from Srila Prabhupada. Was that in Hawaii? Oh. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. You were around then, yes. Yes. Okay, question. Someone.
Before I ask any question, Prabhuji, I want to say thank you so very much for giving an excellent class.
Thank you.
But with due all respect to you, we just read the verse saying that Krishna reward everyone equally. So can you please explain how Krishna reward everyone equally?
That what equally means in according to how you approach him. So equally, so he's aloof. And that's what it says over, and it's here in Chaitanya Charitamrita from Bhagavad-gītā, this is being expressed again, equally means he's not favoring. So as you approach him, he rewards you. That's what equal means. It means he doesn't have favorites. You know, last week you asked that question, I think. It was a question kind of like that, why Krishna gave special mercy, right, to, was it Jarasandha who was, you remember? I forget. Okay. Anyway, one of the asuras. And of course, Krishna is benedicting them. So a special favor. But Krishna also, he's a person, like I know, was asked, what is the significance of the peacock feather? Like we're always looking for symbolism. Why does Krishna do this? Why does he play the flute? He likes the flute. Why does he wear the peacock feather? Prabhupada said he likes peacock feathers. You don't have to look any deeper. So whatever Krishna does, he also does what he likes to do. And he loves to do it with his devotees. He loves to be seen not as the supreme personality of Godhead. Just like I would speak about Prabhupada. You know, he would leave his room. As soon as he left his room, and he said that once, now I'm the Acharya. He said that early on as he was going into his room to give a class. But then when he went back to his room, he didn't think, I'm an Acharya. He's a devotee of Krishna. He's just chanting Hare Krishna. So different. In different situations, he would act differently. And we also do. You know. But in any sense, Krishna is always equal. As you approach, that's the whole point of reciprocation, means whatever you do, but his reciprocation, again, is 10 times. So he's more than equal to us than we are to him. Thank you.
About Krishna consciousness quite a few times, and ISKCON is all about Krishna consciousness. So I do want to know a thing which is beyond all consciousness. So how to be conscious of a thing which is beyond all consciousness? Because as far as what I know is Krishna is entirely beyond the entire dimensions of body, senses, mind, intellect, knowledge, whatever you speak of. So how to be conscious of, how do we Krishna conscious?
Well, that's why all these Prabhupada translated 80 books to help us understand who Krishna is. And it's very simple. If you don't know a person, there's no question of loving him. You can't love a person you don't know. So everything is there. All these wonderful pastimes are there for us to develop our love, our attraction to Krishna, right? And of course, Guru was there. You can't fully understand. He's also expanding constantly. Prabhupada said, like you go in the ocean, you never reach the other side. Crude example, you would say, but you never, that's Krishna consciousness. You never come to a point where you're just there, now I can relax. I'm Krishna conscious. Expanding. A desire to serve is expanding. The love is expanding. So you're never going to fully understand. Even pure devotee, on the morning walk, devotee said to Prabhupada, does the pure devotee know everything? And Prabhupada said, no, only Krishna knows everything. He said, but the devotee, he knows everything Krishna wants him to know. And in that sense, he knows everything because it's coming from Krishna. But there's no question knowing. Whatever Krishna gives you, that we know. You know? And if he doesn't give you, then we don't know. Yes, Mataji. Last question.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So I just caught the tail end of your class, but you mentioned something about service. So if my question is not out of line of the class, I just wanted to know that how does it work when somebody's trying to do service to the best of their ability with all their deep understanding about Krishna consciousness, but another may interfere with that. So that's one question. Then how does Krishna feel when that happens? So the question is, I'm just trying to frame my question, that if somebody's giving their whole heart and soul and they're trying to serve with utmost sincerity, with what they've understood from their guru, having been in the movement for so long, and they're putting it into practice, and they're at their, fine age where they're doing that, but then somebody may try to interfere with that. And also, if somebody new comes into the scene, another service, and they're trying to serve from where they're at their best, but the other person doesn't see that to be the best way and they thrash them. So if you could please throw some light on both these points, please, I'd really appreciate it.
Can you help me? My ear nuts. I'm sorry, not your fault. Not your fault. Just the acoustic sometimes. Yeah, and condensed.
My first question is, if someone is trying to, with their utmost sincerity, trying to serve, and they've been serving for a long time, and they're trying to serve with all the understanding they have from the scriptures, from Prabhupada, but then somebody, it's interesting now, Krishna is making me go blank, but then somebody may, thank you. Somebody may interfere in that service. So somebody's trying to serve, but another may try to interfere in that service. So that's my first question. So how does Krishna feel?
Do you understand that?
I can make the question very
No. I think someone interferes with the service someone's doing. Who is the someone? Is this the spiritual master? Temple president? Who's Yeah, but another devotee is very general. I mean, it depends on who the devotee is. Prabhupada every day in Los Angeles, Prabhupada had a red and white gamsha. We both had red and white gamshas. So every day I would give Prabhupada a massage in that gamsha. And it got, from red and white, it turned to brown and yellow because of the mustard oil. And it got washed, and it got darker, darker, darker all the time. Just kept getting darker every day, but it's getting washed in washing machine. So one day I gave it to Prabhupada. He looked at me. He said, "Who's washing this?" And I said, "Well, devotee doing every day." He said, "Look at it." He said, "It's dirty. He's oily. Dude, he's doing." So I said, "All right." So that day, I washed it in Prabhupada's bathroom sink with a bunch of laundry detergent. And I learned how to wash, seeing when I came to India, I learned how to wash things. A little soap and beat it. And after 5 minutes, it looked like brand new. And the next day, Prabhupada, I handed him the gamsha, and as soon as I gave it to him, his eyes got big. Acha. He said, "Who has cleaned this?" I said, "I did it, Prabhupada." He said, "Very good, just see." But I took the service away because it wasn't being done according to the standard. Person was washing it, but Prabhupada wasn't pleased. And he told me, "I'm not pleased with who's doing it." So I said, "I'm going to do this from now on." That's an example. I mean, we can give so many examples in so many ways, again, depending on who's interfering. No one can interfere with your service to your guru. No one can. Maybe different adjustments will be there. We've seen, I was in Denmark, Amsterdam, one of those places, and there was a woman, and she had been the temple president. And according to her, she was very unceremoniously removed as temple president. And she was bitter. Didn't know why. No one could explain. She was very bitter. And I was there for some days, and then after some days, she came up to me. And somehow or other, everything became very clear to her, that it was actually Krishna's mercy on her. Because her life now she was able to be so much more Krishna conscious. And her service, and she was pleased. She was pleased that she was removed, but it didn't happen immediately. But when she accepted, somehow or other, everything's according to Krishna's will is happening. So when she figured that out and then saw the other repercussions that were going on, she became happy that her service was changed, even though she's not at all happy. Okay, I think we need to stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna.